After rain interrupted qualifying after just a few moments this morning, can you believe we're about to welcome you to the Temple of Speed here at Monza and a dry circuit? Yes, thankfully for the moment, the skies have cleared and the track is dry. And we look to start the race in just a few moments' time. Race 2, round 6 of the 2021 GTOpen International Championship with the Michelin slick tyres. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, welcome to the Temple of Speed. And thankfully, for the moment, it is a dry circuit. It is still rather warm here at Monza, around about 20 degrees Celsius. And this is a great sight to see after this morning's torrential downpour, which ultimately did see a red flag interrupted qualifying session. Joe Osborne taking pole with his only flying lap, just 0.005 of a second ahead of the 18 Honda of Jacopo Guidetti, which finished third on the podium yesterday. The cars are out on the circuit. You can see there is still some damp patches, but for the moment, the track is dry. There is a dry line. I hesitate to say this, but we are expecting rain at some point throughout the following 1 hour race. The championship leader, Frederick Schandorf, in the 63 VSR Lamborghini. He will start further back in the pack than he would have liked. Of course, he'll be handing over to Michele Beretta in the first of the 3 VSR Lamborghinis. He starts back on grid 11. Really quite a mixed grid here this morning as the pole sitter Joe Osborne comes out onto the circuit in the menacing Inception Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Just makes his way through the first few corners. The 333 Ferrari of the former champion Fabrizio Crestani for Rinaldi Racing, who is sharing this car with the Chilean, the South American, who did superbly well yesterday, Benahites. Fabrizio makes his way up to the grid. This is race 2 of the penultimate round of the championship. Nick van Dierendonk, who won the AM class yesterday. The all Benelux team, the Belgian and Dutch combination. Jan Lauritsen, of course, their main rival in the title, starting a few places further back. It is a mixed grid. Dirk Schalten to actually make the start in the 53 Porsche out of grid 23. This car was the story of the race yesterday. The American-Kiwi combination driving for the German team, the legendary German team, if we can say it is Leipzig Motorsport. It is the American driver who just could not quite hold off Osborne yesterday in the Pro-Am class. They start a little bit further back. Tyler Cook to start the race. Car 10 out of position 10. Joe Osborne will start on pole position. It is a Pro-Am category car that will start on pole position. Technically, in theory, there is no difference. It is the Pro-Am Pro, and of course the Cup cars mixed in with us this weekend. It is the driver ranking combination as Joe Osborne just accelerates and then brakes hard out of the Michele Alboreto Parabolica. Just getting heat into the tyres as now pit lane is closed. So Joe just brings it up to the grid and will drive through the pack to make it up to grid position 1. The 2-strong McLaren team yesterday was reduced to 1 when Ollie Milroy came together with Baptiste Moulin. The Belgian driver came together with the McLaren, and the McLaren lost not 1 but 2 right side doors through contact. They put a new door on. It departed when wind got underneath, and they ultimately just limped to the flag in 17th place, 3 laps down. So Joe will start on pole position. We know how menacingly quick it was at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. You can see the track, it is far from ideal, but for the moment it is not raining. The track is dry. We're just getting news that car 27 is already under investigation before we have even got underway. We'll get back to that in just a moment as you look at the pole sitter. Joe Osborne for Inception Racing, of course sharing this car with Nick Moss, the British combination in the British supercar. This has been another fabulous story of the weekend. The Hondas have tripled in number this weekend, and immediately on the podium, Jacopo Guidetti, the young Italian, sharing the car with the more experienced Marco Bononomi. They start on grid 2. Rinaldi Racing. This is Fabrizio Crestani. Very experienced driver. He's already won 3 times in GTOpen. He spent half a decade racing in GP2, and prior to that, Formula 3000, Giacomo Altoer finally gets to do some laps after not taking part in qualifying neither the race yesterday. Giacomo Altoer out of grid 4, just 7 days from now he'll line up on the grid in the American Series in Sebring, Florida, USA. Yuki Nomoto also did not do any laps yesterday. He will start the race before handing over to the Belgian Baptiste Moulin, who just wishes he is co-driver the best of luck. From Zimbabwe in the south of Africa, Axel Jeffries.
We see in a pit lane because such rain.
Sharing that car with the Polish driver Roman Zeman. They were interesting words that you just heard. The 3 words, start to rain. Gerhard Twereza, he had a good run this morning, put in a quick lap and starts grid 7 for HP Racing International. Antonelli Motorsport back with Loris Spinelli this weekend. Last year's European Le Mans Series champion with 2 victories last year, including the final round at Portimao, where we get underway the first day of May in 2022. The all-new GTOpen International calendar has been announced. You look at the Omani. Al Faisal Al Zubair shares the car with Andy Soucek. And this is the American-Kiwi combination, car 10 out of grid 10, Tyler Cook for Leipert Motorsports. For the moment, the track is dry. We look at the top of the Lamborghini and just a few drops of rain. Frederick Schandorf, the championship leader, way back on grid 11, the 3rd of the Vincenzo Sospiri racing cars here this weekend. Let's hope for a better run for car 7, which had a diabolical race yesterday, losing 2 right side doors. From the USA, Brandon Irib, starting out of grid 12. Interestingly, 1 position ahead of yesterday's race winner, the Canadian Ethan Simeoni. The highlights of a fantastic race yesterday. Marco Bononomi in the Honda on the outside, trying to take the lead. Ben Yahites, a superstar from the South American. It was too good, though, as he ran into the back of the leading VSR Lamborghini. They went over the curbs at the first corner. Brendan Leach just running out of road. He wasn't the only driver to do so, down through the escape road. And there was the first door disappearing from the 7 McLaren. A lock-up for the Polish team. Jakub Duanicki finding the wall after he stood on the podium in Hungary in the AM class, of course. Martin Kodric, a brilliant opening stint for the Croatian. As Frederick Schandorf, in the dying stages of the race, made a fabulous pass down the inside to go past Jacopo Guidetti. But he ultimately would the Croatian-Canadian combination, Martin Kodric and Ethan Simeoni, taking victory in race 1 yesterday. The championship looks like this, 126 points, both to Schandorf and Beretta. Andy Soucek, 30 back on 96 points, closest challenger in the series. Race 2, round 6, the GTOpen International Championship. Live from Monza. Welcome to the home of the Italian Grand Prix as we look at the grid. Joe Osborne out of pole position alongside Jacopo Guidetti, Fabrizio Crestani, a 3-time winner in GTOpen International, alongside another Italian, the former champion from 2019, Giacomo Altoer. Yuki Nomoto from Japan, Axel Jeffries from Zimbabwe. Then we go to Gerhard Twereza, is alongside Loris Spinelli. Al Faisal Al Zubair from Oman is alongside the American Tyler Cook. On debut in GTOpen International Racing, the reigning championship leader Frederick Schandorf and the American Brendan Irib on the 6th row of the grid. Ethan Simeoni, yesterday's race winner, is alongside the American Michael Diamond. Alberto Lippi, Marcus Pavarud, who's moved up to 7th in the championship in the 11 Honda. Then we go to Arthur Janos, who is alongside Dan Pell from the Netherlands, as the Cup cars join the grid for this, the penultimate round of the championship. Jan Lauritsen was taken out yesterday. He starts alongside Maciusz Lestowski. We look for the 54 driver. Jan Antoszewski, car 100, is alongside Glauco Solieri. Dirk Schouten, Fernando Fortes from Brazil out of grid 24. Stefano Bozzoni, an interesting race yesterday for the Italian to say the least, alongside Mauro Marcio. Ian Silvestri with you in commentary here this weekend. Delighted to be joined by Ida Wood. This will be a fantastic race. We will start in just a few moments. The wipers are on, but it is not raining yet.
Yeah, it was raining a little bit on the grid. You can see drops. I'd call that drizzle, if anything, but it certainly was a lot of rain put down on the grid. But the car's already there, so where they're actually going to line up, there should still be dry patch because the car was kind of denying the rain landing there at that point. The car at the very back of this grid, the number 27, we saw was under investigation already. They crossed the pit exit line too early in qualifying this morning and in the race yesterday. Now, if you do that multiple times, it automatically becomes an investigation. That's why we've just been told it now. It's not like they've done something naughty pre-race and it's now being added. That's just a follow-on from what had previously occurred. And that is the Lechner Racing crew, the Porsche. They've already got the grooved wet compound tyres out ready. So potentially they're eyeing up a pit stop if the rain does come very early in this race. We are on the formation lap. We've actually got, rather than a safety car, a leading car this weekend. It's a Land Rover Discovery, I think. Massive SUV, but obviously that's got a lot of ground clearance. You can see it at the front here. Probably 2 times as tall as the GT cars behind it. But they will be able to see, you know, if there's any grip changes, if the rain's landing in anywhere in particular. And of course, they've got a lot of, what would you call it? Mirror space almost, because they've got a big rear window, so they can see exactly what's happening behind them as well, and if any driver, you know, is struggling behind.
It's got twice as much traction as well as most of these GT3 supercars. Into the Alboreto Parabolica. Joe Osborne leads the field up to the line. Welcome to the home of Italian motorsport. This is the Temple of Speed in the north of Italy. The circuit which in 2022 celebrates 1 century of motor racing. But it is the British driver, the British team in the British supercar that leads the field up to the line. Joe Osborne on pole position. We wait for the 5 red lights. As you can see, half of the field electing to pull into pit lane early. Osborne up to the line. We go green. We race. Guidetti was immediately down into pit lane. We saw the Lechner Racing team already making a move to wet tyres. For the moment, just light drizzle. And a good start from Osborne. We look for Altueg to a razor. Goes straight ahead. Giacomo's moved up into 2nd place. And in fact has gone through to the lead. So the Lamborghinis in 1st and 3rd at the moment, although 3rd place, that's a little bit controversial for the moment. So Faisal Al-Zubair has put on the Michelin wets, as has Jacopo Guidetti. In car 18, they started on Michelin slicks. The rain is starting to fall now, just moments after the start of the race. Apologies, it is actually Yuki Nomoto. The Japanese missile has launched into the lead and gone by Joe Osborne. Super start by Yuki Nomoto, who's got Joe Osborne behind. Gerhard Torreza, there's the first of the Cup cars with a super start, and Ethan Simeone, the Canadian, yesterday's race winner, already up to position 6.
Yeah, and Dan Pill already up to 5th in the GTOpen car. That is incredible, from down, I think, 17th on the grid, getting to 12 places. The Lamborghini up front, I think, may have a little bit of damage because it was crabbing a lot as it hit the brakes. Potentially the steering was just a little out. We're going to see one of the Optima Motorsport McLarens pass. I think that was actually a GT Cup car. That's Brendan Ireeb in 7th. Yeah, going past into 6th, although our timing screen is getting a little confused right now. The McLaren lining up the Lamborghini at the front. We had everyone down to 20th place, so 16th place actually didn't pit, so pretty much half of the field went into the pit lane. And you can see these front cars are already sliding for every corner. I think we can't really see the rain, but definitely it's been the right call to pit.
Yuki Nomoto, a super start. Apologies again for getting that wrong. We thought it was Giacomo Altuer. He has in fact gone down into pit lane. There is Gerhard Torreza, who goes within centimetres of Loris Spinelli, who gets the drive off the Parabolica, and Spinelli has moved up into 2nd place. Torreza, he's gone down into pit lane.
Yeah, Yuki Nomoto is in there as well, so he's gone from 1st place. He's now down to 7th, following the number 54. That is Jan Larsen. He's up to 4th. Dan Pill in 3rd place. He's on the overall podium at the moment behind Joe Osborne and Loris Spinelli. And you can see how tentative they are going through these 2 corners. we can't see anything at the moment. We can't see too much rain, unlike this morning. But clearly, it's really, really difficult out there.
Dirk Schouten up into 8th place. Now, as you look at yesterday's race winner down in pit lane, the Bahraini-based 2Cs Motorsport team with the Canadian and Croatian driving combination go to work. Yuki Namoto lights up the rear Michelin tyres. A superstar from the Japanese driver. He will rejoin. For the moment, he's dropping down the order, but half the field, more than half, have now changed over to the Michelin wets. It is only raining very lightly in this slightly shorter than yesterday 60-minute race. Joe Osborne under pressure from Loris Spinelli. Dan Pell, obviously, he's put on the Michelin wets before the start of the race, surely, because he's now in position 2 outright. What a start from Dan Pell.
And he just passed down the inside of Lesmo on the Loris Spinelli Mercedes. That's a pretty brave move in a car that doesn't have that much power, but with less power you should really have less wheel spin essentially when you're hitting the upper rev range. So this could be an inspired call by Dan Pell, though he's only got a 1 second class lead, because you see right behind him is Jan Lauritsen and Mateusz Zalski. It's a pretty thrilling battle at the moment. Only 7 cars haven't pitted at this point at the race in the moment. I think a few more have already gone into pit lane and are still in there. We're going to follow the Joe Osborne McLaren, so he is 1.1 seconds ahead of Dan Pell in second rather than Loris Spinelli. The timing screen doesn't know what to do, isn't expecting a GT Cup Open car this high up the order.
To put this in perspective, Dan Pell up into second place. A rough analogy, it's sort of like a Formula 2 car racing and mixing it with Formula 1 cars as Loris Spinelli goes sideways on the exit.
Puncture, I think. Yeah, he can't turn and he's gone way wide. Yeah, that's the rear right as well. In fact, it looks like at least 2 tyres are deflated there, because it's almost like this is very confusing. So that is the number 24 car that was in 4th place, is now showing in 3rd. He has actually got up to 3rd place because our leader has pitted, Loris Spinelli has pitted. Dan Pell is leading this race from Jan Lauritsen and Mateusz Zalski. It's all 3 GT Cup Open Europe cars, but the 3rd place Porsche does not look happy at the moment. Joe Osborne showing up in 4th place. He's actually in the pit, so is Marcus Pavrud in the Honda in 5th. Here's a replay. So look at that front left. Obviously, they're running a lot of camber. You have very cambered wheels on the Porsche, but that looks way too cambered to be normal.
Wow, Jan Lauritsen on the final corner goes at rallycross. If you've got the live timing screen, screenshot it now, because we've got Cup cars running 1, 2, 3, 4 outright. Schalski and Blaszek. So there was the race leader, Joe Osborne, who rejoins. Now on Michelin wet tyres, we're looking for Giacomo Altoia. Expecting a big performance. He's down in 17th, ahead of Axel Jeffries, the former champion, back with us for this weekend. They didn't do any laps, well, he didn't do any laps yesterday when Federico Leo, the 2012 GTOpen International Champion, was an early retirement.
Oh, is that the Guidetti car? That is a Nova Racing Honda, the number 57, and it's actually Alberto Lippi, yes, so not one of the victory contenders, but it seems the GT3 cars are struggling a lot more. The Porsche is going down the inside, so that is 54 and 64, I think, or 24. Jan Lauritsen versus Mateusz Zalski. We've got 5 out the top 6 are the GT Cup Open Europe Porsches. Pavrud's in between them at the moment. This is a strange battle, because obviously they are battling for the class victory as well as the overall one right now.
They're battling for the outright race lead at the moment. As you ride on board with the pole in car 24, Maciej Liszalski. Jan Lauritsen, he likes to absolutely put it on the edge. He's found a rhythm. Twice he's run off the circuit into the gravel, did not lift. And Jan Lauritsen, taken out yesterday, is in position 2. Dan Pell from the Netherlands in car 33 in position 1. Marcus Pavrud has also stayed out.
But Frederick Schandorf is going 8 seconds faster. He's currently in 10th place. He did, well, he's not showing as he has pitted. He's currently in 10th, 26 seconds back. I expect he would have to have dropped that much time. There is the number 11, Marcus Pavrud, in the pit. So we've now got a all GT Cup Open Europe top 6 or top 5, because Artiyanos has also pitted. This is a big gap.
Marcus Pavrud was in position 6. So Fabrizio Crestani will now move up a place and take the Pro Class lead.
But Pavrud, Crestani has had his fastest lap deleted for cutting the first 2 corners. So clearly there isn't the grip there at the very start of the lap. Dirk Schouten in 4th has made up 19 places in 2 laps. That is astonishing. And they're just pulling away from essentially the cars that have pitted, besides Crestani now, who does have the fastest lap of 2-minute 1.305. So that's an 8-second margin, but these cars have around half a minute in hand over the GT3 cars, which is led by Crestani here.
Skates under brakes does the Ferrari driver, Fabrizio Crestani, in car 333. Just controls the wheel spin, putting out somewhere between 500 and 600 horsepower on a greasy circuit, depending on who you talk to, what the actual figure really is. This is quite incredible. Dan Pell in position 1, Maciej Liszalski, Jan Lauritsen in positions 2 and 3. Then we go to Jan Antaszewski, was position 3 on the Cup class podium at the Budapest round in Hungary, sharing the car with Jakub Dwanicki. They found the gravel yesterday, and at the moment Jan Antaszewski in car 100 is in position 5 outright. Now the rain is starting to pick up as the race starts to settle down to some degree, as Dan Pell makes a move to retake the lead from the pole. Dan Pell in car 33. Liszalski, you ride on board. He's in car 24. Dan Pell stays out.
I think they're actually lapping Glauco Solieri and Fernando Forte around here. So we've got 7 Porsches. 2 of them are a lap down. One of them's actually 2 laps down because Fernando Forte has only completed 2 laps of this race. Dan Pell 1.4 seconds ahead. He was 6 seconds ahead almost at one point, and it's the number 24 is crabbing a lot. You can see how cambered the wheels are on all these Porsches. So I was probably mistaken earlier where the orange one, which I believe is the one we're on board with now, Liszalski, was struggling a lot. Jan Lauritsen it may have been. But it was very weird how it came out parabolica and just couldn't turn at all.
But it did it a couple of times and didn't lift on either occasion. He's found a setup that worked. Jan Lauritsen, car 54, position 4. Still, we've got the Cup cars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But interestingly, Fabrizio Crestani, who is the first Pro Class car, in position 6, is lapping 6-7 seconds a lap faster.
He's passed Antaszewski now, so he's now up to 5th. Alzibert and Schandorf are chasing. They are separated by 2 seconds, and these are the 2 crews battling for the title this weekend. If Schandorf can extend his points lead by at least 6 points, he is champion with a round to go. And looking outside the commentary box window, the rain is picking up.
It really is not quite as torrential as it was this morning, just gradually increasing, but it is obviously a full wet circuit now. Dan Pell in car 33. You look at Dirk Schouten going through in 53.
And we've got a Pro-Am class battle as well. Joe Osborne in 12, 3 tenths ahead of Axel Jeffries. That's going to be quite far back from this train as the Ferrari and Mercedes go side by side. He cuts the chicane. That is for all the way down the order. I'm not sure what
Ethan
position that
Simeone.
was. Yeah. 16th place, so that is Michael Dinnan as well. They are fighting over, I think, 10th in class, but obviously 16th overall. That's probably going to filter through once the driver changing window has occurred to top 10 positions, but at the moment they are way down the order.
Maciej Liszalski. The car working well here for the pole. He's in position 2. There is the outright race leader just ahead. Dan Pell, car 33 for Benaldi Motorsport, sharing the car with the driver from Poland with another, I'm sorry, unpronounceable surname. It is Thomas Magdizadz, and I'm sorry, that's not even close to the pronunciation. Regardless, they are quick and they are leading the race.
And entering Parabolica, Crestani got past Jan Lauritsen, so he is up to 4th overall. Only 4.4 seconds behind this battle for the overall lead, and he's just been, I thought he'd been punted around there because he barely got around the first corner. The rear end stepped out, so he was almost ahead of the nose. So he's going to exit the corner still in 2nd place. We're going to follow the picture, and there's the Ferrari going around the outside of Dirk Schouten for 3rd place. So Fabrizio Crestani is on course for the race lead. He's lapping 5 seconds faster per lap, sometimes 8 seconds faster than the 2 cars ahead of him. Obviously, there's a big difference between GT3 and GT4, but this is the 3 wide. That's Spinelli, the Nick Moss McLaren, and I think the 73 Ferrari. They are fighting for 12th place at the moment.
Axel Jeffries just ahead as Loris Spinelli, who was a little later than the others to make a pit stop. Now the rain really starting to come down as we follow Loris through Curva Grande. The big corner as it literally translates into the 2nd chicane. Now Axel Jeffries from Zimbabwe, so much experience over the last decade for the African driver, now living in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. And we're trying to pick up the car 63. This is Frederick Schandorf, the championship leader Interestingly, in fact, fascinatingly, that is the closest rival in the championship to him, right behind.
And he just got past him because he was behind him on the previous lap, so he has overtaken him for 5th place overall. That will put him 1 point ahead with the points he's going to earn from this race. Although, because they're both pro-class cars, that's going to be a bit weird because obviously you've got the GT Cup Open cars ahead. Crestani now 9/10 off the race lead. You can see, well, you can't see him because it's so
you can
dark
now.
out there. Yeah, he dives out, goes the inside, then goes to the outside around Parabolica. It's going to be a brave move, but he gets it done. So if he does actually get it done, he's run very wide. You're going to go side by side. I bet he wasn't expecting to be racing a GT4 Porsche as he did this. He is going to cross the line after 6 laps with the race lead by 0.3 of a second from Dan Pill. How far back is the next pro car, Frederick Schandorf? 5.3.
So the moment of glory for the Cup cars, they're still in 2nd, 3rd, 4th outright. Frederick Schandorf going by Al Faisal Al Zubair a few moments ago as you ride on board with the former champion, the former GTOpen international champion from the north of Italy, Fabrizio Crestani, sharing this car with the South American Benyahites. So despite the rain, we've actually got a cleaner start than yesterday. We've stayed green since the safety car, or the leading car, pulled down into pit lane. Fabrizio Crestani is the race leader for Rinaldi Racing, the team who is based at the Mendig Air Base in Rhineland in Germany, with 2 fabulous drivers. We saw Benyahites with a super stint yesterday, sharing the car with Fabrizio Crestani, as we say. GTOpen champion with Team Lazarus back 5 years ago with Thomas Biaggi. 3 wins in GTOpen International, and as we mentioned in the opener, he's got half a decade of experience in Formula 3000, Formula 2, and later after that GP2 as well. 33 years of age from Conegliano to the north of Venice as Dirk Schouten tries his best. But here comes the pro-class cars under the bridge down into the Ascari chicane. Dirk Schouten absolutely enjoying himself despite the conditions. A moment of glory, and the Cup cars have led outright GTOpen International here at Monza.
Yeah, obviously their time couldn't last long with lap times 5 seconds per lap slower than the GT3 cars around them, but they did do a very good job, and clearly they made the right strategic choices as well, because seemingly they started on the wet tyres and were able to just stay out on track when others couldn't. Here is Schandorf, who is chasing Fabrizio Crestani in the lead. There's a gap of 5.7 seconds between those two. There's a gap of 0.3 between Axel Jeffries and Loris Spinelli further back. We are now on board with Lazowski, who is just holding on to 3rd place. I think Schandorf's already passed, so that'll be 4th place. Dampiel now in 3rd, and Schandorf's actually in 2nd, so he's passed 2. And the lead car is just lapped. I think that's the number 27 Porsche, which is under investigation. Again, the team manager has been asked to report to race control, so not a good day for that crew.
Mauro Marcio, who you may remember hit the wall in qualifying this morning, which brought out a red flag. One of the 2 Brazilian drivers for the 360 racing team from South America. Over from the Brazilian Porsche Carrera Cup Championship, Fernando Fortes, the other driver in car 32, on board with Matusz Lichalski, who's in position 4 outright. Crestani leads the way, but Frederick Schandorf is closing in on the back of the Italian, looking to claim the championship 1 month in advance of the final round, which is in 4 weeks from today. And of course, at the home of the Spanish Grand Prix, Circuit Catalunya, that is on the 23rd and 24th of October, to round out a fantastic 2021 GTOpen International Championship as we look at Dirk Schouten, who's gone around in car 53. He was driving superbly inside the top 5 outright. It looks as though he stalled it.
That
Dirk
could be a
Schouten
safety
from
car.
P6.
Yeah, so he was in the top 3 at one point because we had our GT Cup Open cars passing. This is Loris Spinelli, I think, chasing one of his GT3 rivals and a GT4 car.
Going past Jan Antoszewski.
So 11th, 12th and 13th place on track there. That's Axel Jeffries just ahead of him. So he's actually got back past into the class lead. Very tight there with 2 of them going across. So this straight here, as you can see, 0 visibility. Although you've got the trees hanging either side, which should catch some of the rain, it's actually super slippy as Spinelli dives down the inside. And Scarra chicane, he actually gets bumped up the rear by Axel Jeffries. And they're going to come through onto the back straight. There's less than 1/10 of a second separating our Pro-Am class battle for the lead. They are in 10th and 11th now.
Loris Spinelli rode the ripple strip at the exit of the Ascari chicane. Axel Jeffries in car 73, the African driver, on the outside searching for grip, and he may well find it. What a move by Axel. Loris Spinelli struggling for grip, and now on the outside, Axel Jeffries runs wide, and the Italian, 2 attempts, goes by the Zimbabwean. Axel Jeffries now bumps back into 11th place. The Antonelli Motorsport car 47 Mercedes thunders down the main straight here at Monza. Loris Spinelli started grid 8, was late to dive down into the pits. He's in the final position inside the top 10. That's Jan Lauritsen. That is a cup car in front of him, which goes straight ahead. That is a fight for position. Just to repeat, it's a rough equivalent of a Formula 2 car racing and mixing it with Formula 1 cars. Flashes the lights, does Loris Spinelli. It's a race for position. Jan Lauritsen does not have to cede the place. Ultimately, Loris Spinelli's got the power, he's got the drive, he's got the traction, and now moves up into position 8 outright. Next in line for Spinelli is his countryman, Jacopo Guidetti, who's in position 7.
Yeah, and Guidetti had just got past the GT Cup Open car Lazowski as well. Spinelli was 7 seconds faster than the GT4 car on that previous lap, which is a huge advantage, like you said, comparing F1 to F2. Normally in GTOpen, the second driver in the car would have to be, you know, able to navigate traffic of these slower cars, but it's the onus is on the first driver, I think, today to actually make those moves and get back ahead of the smaller cars. And looking at the GT Cup Open cars now, they're 5th place, 8th, 10th, 14th and 18th for the Pro-Am class, and we've got our Am class runners at the very back of the field. But they were running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 about 4 laps ago, so things do change quickly.
Most of these drivers, most of these teams and cars will actually have to make 2 pit stops. And of course, the few Cup cars that elected bravely, of course, we started on a dry circuit when they set out from pit lane. There is confirmation of a 3-second penalty to our Brazilian driver, Mauro Marcio, as Crestani down the inside and takes Stefano Bozzoni. Closes the gate on the 44 Charme car. Arius Schandorf, 63. So it will be 2 pit stops. The Cup cars, which started on the Michelin wets, it was a brave call, but obviously when the heavers opened on the opening lap, it was the correct decision.
Now, he's just lapped one of the GT Cup Open cars, so he should be aware, and we're going to see a replay actually of the Honda versus the Ferrari. I think this is Jeffries versus Torreza for 9th place, really barging him at the first chicane. As I think the stewards would look nicely at that, and he's actually going to end up on the grass there as the replay ends. As I was saying, the GT4 cars have been aware so far they're being overtaken for positions, that they don't have to concede, but now they're actually being lapped. It may be a responsibility of the team to inform those drivers that they're not fighting for position anymore. They do need to let those GT3 cars pass. Otherwise, it could be susceptible to penalties because, you know, as far as they're aware, Crestani could just be overtaking them for position.
Some of them, Dan Pell, he is still position 7 outright. So he is leading the GT Cup class in the Open International Championship as Crestani skates under brakes down into the Ascari chicane. He is the race leader, let's remember that. And he's about to complete lap 10. The pit stop window to open imminently as we see Maciej Liszowski, who's down in the pits. Marcus Pavarud in the Honda. We know the V6 twin-turbo Japanese supercar is quick. Has just clocked in the rain 259 kilometers an hour. We'll call it 260, 259.6 in the rain. Pavarud, he was in P7's, actually moved into P7 in the outright championship, which is another story in itself. Marcus Pavarud in position 15, but quicker than anybody in a straight line, where Fabrizio Crestani is racing down now in the 333 Ferrari, a magnificent sounding twin-turbo V8. Whilst all this has been going on, our Faisal Al-Zubair from Oman, he's moved up into position 3, ahead of Giacomo Altoer, the 2019 champion. Behind the Omani driver, the Porsche drivers, they were actually hoping for rain because this circuit has been suiting the Lamborghinis. We know the Porsche is renowned for superb handling, as our Faisal Al-Zubair demonstrates. Locks up under brakes but keeps it straight. Through the chicane at the first La Prima Variante. Faisal Al-Zubair, that's Giacomo Altoer just behind.
Perhaps the Porsche he wanted was the GT4 Porsche, given they led the early laps. The 2 Hondas are the quickest cars on track right now. Obviously, we saw Pavarud set the fastest speed trap figure, but Guidetti is actually faster than anyone on track right now, going through sector 2. He's closing in on Yuki Nemoto for 5th place overall, and that would take points away from Nemoto, who is contending for a position in the championship.
Certainly is, trying to chase down Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek. Giacomo Altuve, as we said, in 7 days from now, he'll be racing in the sunshine over in Florida, USA at the Sebring Circuit in the next round of the American GT World Challenge Championship. As we see one of the Porsches, this is Mauro Marcio, who's had an eventful weekend, goes around at the chicane and parks that beautifully presented 360 Racing Porsche in the grass. No harm done. Maciej Liszulski, incidentally, is still down in the pits as we try and pick up the cars as they come out from under the old banking. Faisal Al-Zubair, and right behind, locking up under brakes, Giacomo Altuve, Yuki Nemoto. This is Jacopo Guidetti. He is the fastest driver on the circuit at the moment. Started grid 2, finished on the podium in position 3 yesterday. It wasn't so long back that he took a victory just up the road at South Garda Karting International World Circuit when he won the International Rock Cup Karting Final 2016. A season in Italian Formula Renault, the TCR Italian Touring Car Championship, and makes the step up on debut in GTOpen International. And car 18 being driven by Jacopo Guidetti with his more experienced teammate, also from Italy, Marco Bonanome. They are the fastest on the circuit. They were on the podium yesterday. Jacopo Guidetti, Team Nova Race, racing in the Italian GT Championship 7 days ago at Vallelunga, races down the straight. The quickest in a straight line as Faisal Al-Zubair has a Lamborghini menacing right over the back under that huge rear wing behind the 77 Lecna Racing Porsche. Giacomo Altuve, for the moment, it looks as though he's got the Omani driver's measure. Up the inside of Curva Grande, they're going to be wheel to wheel in just a moment into the second chicane. Altuve is on the outside. In fact, he's just driven by. Can he keep it straight? The answer is no. The Italian locks up, goes straight ahead as Ethan Simeone dives down into pit lane. This is yesterday's race winner on screen. Altuve has taken the place. We'll leave that for others to decide.
The Lamborghini does look way quicker than the Porsche at the moment, because Faisal Al-Zubair was around 1.5 seconds ahead of Fredrik Schandorf 6 or 7 laps ago. He's been overtaken. That gap between them has extended to, I think, 11 seconds. He's now behind Altuve as well, who is in an identical Lamborghini, and he was around 10 seconds behind. So the Porsche is just dropping back entirely. Andy Soucek is going to have a really tough job in the second stint, but there's only 10 minutes to go of this driver change window.
But we cannot ignore the fact that Giacomo, who is a dear friend, mi dispiace Giacomo, he did go straight ahead through the chicane. I'm sorry to say it, as you saw it live, as Crestani fights out of the Alboreto Parabolica. Regardless, it's not for us to decide. He was quicker, but did go straight through the chicane. Fabrizio Crestani, who lives just a few miles from Giacomo, incidentally, not far from Venice, races down the straight. He has got the race lead. He has driven well. The 33-year-old Italian down through the gearbox into the first chicane, in the lead by 14 seconds.
And Schandorf has now entered the pits as well, so he's going to hand over to Michele Beretta, the championship leading car. They are on course for the title right now, I do believe. Goes into his pit box, the Lamborghini, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini crew help him get out the car. He's going to switch over to Beretta. Now that's going to mean teammate Altuve is in second place now, 19 seconds behind Crestani. So Crestani's done a brilliant job here, navigating a lot of lapped traffic, but Yuki Nemoto could be the driver to watch. He was closing in on Faisal Al-Zubair, but Al-Zubair's now in the pits. He's going to hand over to Andy Soucek. So they're going to cut their losses. 9 minutes left of this driver change window, 34 minutes left of this race. That's a decent-sized stint for Andy Soucek, but does he have enough in hand to make up the half-minute gap he has to Crestani in first position?
You can see the graphic to the top left of your screen. We are in the pit stop window, change on. The order is Crestani, Altuve, Nemoto, Guidetti, Loris Spinelli, who is also leading the M-Class category. Axel Jeffries now moves up into P6. Gerhard Twereza started grid 7, and that's where the HP Racing International Lamborghini still runs. Dan Pell leading the Cup class and position 8 outright. Super performance from Dan. He's ahead of the pole sitter Joe Osborne, Marcus Bavarud, and the 11 Honda in position 10. Through the rain, through the spray, down the back straight, Fabrizio Crestani, the 33-year-old in-car 333. It does look slightly nervous. The Ferrari, he goes in very deep under brakes. He's enjoying it as he controls the oversteer on the exit. It looks a handful, but he's quick. He's now pulled out an 18-second lead over the two Lamborghinis. So this battle between the two Italian giants of supercar manufacturing, Lamborghini and Ferrari, not to mention the German mark behind. Marked plural in Porsche and Mercedes. Crestani, Alto and Nemoto. Guidetti P4, Loris Spinelli P5, then it's Jeffries, Torreza and Darnpel leading the Cup class.
So the Kodrich Mercedes we are following now, that is the lead car that has made its driver change. Down in 18th place, just ahead of, looks like Artiano's, well you can't see anything because of the visibility at the moment. And there's a 10-second penalty for car 53.
The Cup class contender, Dirk Schouten.
That's a bad for him. Dan Phil's got a 30-second lead in that class now prior to the pit stops. He's doing a brilliant job. We're following the VSR Lambo. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when, and here's the 18, we'll see when these cars pit as well. So that's handing over to Marco Bononomi. There's a 32. That is pitting from 22nd place, so isn't going to lose too much. And Kodrich is under pressure from the VSR Lambo, but it's sliding everywhere, is the number 16.
Nicely held by Giacomo. Made the chicane that time. The Porsche in the background did not.
And actually, Altoe hasn't pitted, so he might be pitting a lap down on the McLaren at the moment, or the Mercedes, sorry. That's going to say a lot about whose tyres are best, because we don't know if all the teams have stayed on wet tyres with them this pit stop. We expect they would. But if some of them, if the track conditions improved, they would save a pit stop later in the race if they then switch back now.
Michael Dynan, the American, down into pit lane. You can see the 32 Porsche of Fernando Fortes just ahead. Marco Bononomi has taken over from Jacopo Guidetti in the 18 Honda. They dropped out of position 4. Fabrizio Crestani, he's got the traction, he's got the grip, and he's got, importantly, the speed here. You can see how he just works the wheel nervously around the parabolica, but the lead is now out to 19 seconds. The Rinaldi Racing Ferrari from Germany is leading the race and pulling away. The 57 Honda down into pit lane. Luca Magnoni to hand over to Alberto Lippi, the 40-year-old Italian from the Italian GT Championship. Alberto to step in. Of course, he took the opening stint yesterday. Luca steps out of the car, both racing in the Italian GT Championship. Luca Magnoni, who just steps out of the car, who won the Italian GT4 Championship 3 seasons back. As you look at yesterday's race leader and ultimately race winner, goes straight ahead through the chicane. Martin Kodrich locks up in increasingly deteriorating conditions here at Monza. We have to keep an eye on them. Loris Spinelli is leading the Pro-Am class. We take a look at this. Huge moment as he hits some standing water. Martin Kodrich did superbly well to save that. Could have very easily ended up in the wall, if we've seen so many race cars over the years in various categories too. Just locks up and there's no steering. He got it back. Brilliantly controlled as Baptiste Moulin takes over from Yuki Nemoto, and 72 goes around. That's Joe Osborne with a big 360 moment, loops it also with the first chicane.
He was in 7th place. He's just going to lose another place now, although there was a Honda behind him. Here's a replay, comes in too deep. The rear end's already stepped out, slides over and kind of picks up a lot of grass. Still going sideways, still going sideways. Is he going to rejoin the track?
He is decelerating from 240 kilometers an hour.
And there's all the leaves that he's pulled up as well. So
grabs first gear.
Yeah.
A 180 goes around. And Joe Osborne does not actually lose too much time.
Well, he cut the chicane. He just straight lined it, admittedly backwards, but he did straight line it in the end.
That was a good recovery, in all seriousness, for the 72 McLaren. Joe Osborne behind the wheel. He's still in position 7. The Stig would have been proud of that one. Nico van Dierendonk and Dirk Schouten. So Nicholas from the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Series. The Bell Car Challenge now gets behind the wheel of the Cup class car as we see Crestani going straight through the chicane. So we've had 4, 5, 6 cars have a moment just in the last few laps as we tick over the half race distance mark down into the first chicane. We know the conditions are treacherous. Maybe they're just trying to get that extra little few tenths of a second. If there's oil, any sort of fluid on the track, it's irrelevant because the track is absolutely saturated regardless.
Yep, and he's got exactly 3 minutes 33 seconds left on the clock for the driver change window. So with the time he lost there, I think he could have done 2 laps or done a whole lap, then pitted a lap after. But the time lost now, I think he'd probably be safer pitting at the end of this lap to make sure he doesn't get a penalty for pitting too late. Altoe in second, now 22 seconds behind, although obviously he lost 2 seconds to Crestani there from him cutting the chicane. He hasn't pitted either. Loris Spinelli has in third place. He is our lead Pro-Am car, 17 seconds off the lead, well, 40 seconds once the timing screen's updated. That's pre-pit stop gap, 40 seconds. So once Crestani and Altoe pit, I imagine Spinelli would come out into the lead.
Joe Osborne on screen in car 7. There is the 11 of the Norwegian Marcus Pavarud just behind. We've got Tyler Cook and Brandon Leach, in fact, behind the wheel in the gravel in the background. The Leipert Lamborghini, which starred yesterday, actually leading the race on debut in GTOpen International. The Kiwi was just brilliant. But today he's parked it in the gravel in deteriorating conditions. Joe Osborne also had a moment a few laps ago, but recovered, did not lose a position. He's got Marcus Pavarud in the Honda behind. So the twin-turbo V8 McLaren just ahead of the twin-turbo V6 Honda as the race leader, Fabrizio Crestani, dives down into pit lane to hand over to the South American, Benya Hites, who started yesterday, jumps into the car, does Hites. Crestani jumps out, he's driven superbly. We'll see how Hites adjusts to the conditions. This is Benjamin's view. The car was quick, clearly, but it did look a handful for the super experienced former GTOpen International champion Fabrizio Crestani. Federico Leo also dives down into pit lane in the third Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini.
And you can see the pit crew for Renault Racing up ahead of them, ready to call someone in. I'd expect that would be Gerard Teresa. I believe that's the third Honda. 75-second change for Altoe and the 75-second one for Crestani. So there's going to be no advantage gained here from the handicaps. We've still got 1 minute 18 left off the driver change window. We've still got at least three cars that are yet to stop. Here is Andy Soucek. He's just cleared a few laps GT Cup Open Europe cars. He's down in 9th place, and that is a 38-second gap he had to the back of the cars that just pitted. So that's going to decrease massively now they're in the pit lane.
So Hites, position 1, Leo 2, Schultz 3, Zeman 4, Safer, Magdiaz, Moss and Renault Mola 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're all in pit lane with the exception of Benya Hites, who is on his outlap. Here goes Federico Leo. We'll see if he can have a better run than he did yesterday. So the first 8 in the race for a few seconds were all parked in pit lane. Andy Soucek, P9. As you look at the traffic jam down in the pits here at Monza.
Well, Soucek will now be up to P3 because only Hites and Leo got out the pits ahead of him.
If not,
oh, and there's a crash in the pit lane. That's Florian Schultz crashing with the
young Safer.
Yeah, that is a bit iffy, and I imagine because he was already in the fast lane, you're not allowed to overtake. That will definitely be investigated.
There's debris coming off the back of the Lamborghini as they accelerated, as they released the pit lane limiter. We saw bodywork come off the back of the Green Tiger Lambo. So Florian Schultz, Antonelli Motorsport in the 47 Mercedes on the outside. They are racing from the pits. There is the Ferrari just behind them from Kessel Racing. Watch this. Pulls out, the Mercedes is already there, does not lift and smack into the left rear of the Lamborghini. The Mercedes crashes into the back of it. They did not lift. There is the unfortunate Kiwi, Brandon Leach, who had a fabulous drive yesterday, parked in the gravel. That is still just a local yellow only. We have still, despite the conditions, which are just atrocious here this afternoon, not had a safety car.
Yeah, rather remarkable. And of course, without that safety car, that enabled all the GT4 cars to go to the front of the field, and that is, I think that was the Michael Dinham Ferrari. So who is in the car now?
It is still Michael, of course, doing the race solo.
And he was in the top
position
7.
16 he's dropped down to with that spin. Still we stay green. So as the race sorts itself out, the pit stop window now closing, then Benyahites in position 1. Andy Suchek, position 2. Federico Leo, Michele Beretta, the championship leader in P4. Baptiste Moulin, Bononomi 6. Ahead of Seifert Schultz, Roman Simon, and Jens Renault Moller in position 10. This is the race leader on your screen in the 333 Ferrari.
24 seconds in hand with 24 minutes to go. I think they're on course for victory. However, Suchek is only 2 seconds ahead of Federico Leo, and a further a further 7/10 of a second now is updated. And Michele and Beretta, here is a replay of how Dylan lost control of the car. So new tyres and just, didn't know where the grip was, and the car let go. And you can see how much water that grass is containing. Pretty much waterlogged at this point, which does help them slow down, but also means the wheels will just not grip at all at the same time. And now you've jinxed it. We've now got a safety car. You can see the yellow flags being waved there. So presumably that's going to be so we can collect the Brendan Leach Lamborghini. And actually, not Loris Spinelli, his teammate Florence Scholz was about to overtake Roman Simon, but the safety car boards came out as he was lining up the move.
Brendan Lynch way off the racing line, but if he found the gravel that far out, well, then that means someone else certainly can as well. So for the first time in this 1 hour race, we have got the safety car out on circuit. He will pick up the safety car driver, that is Benyahites, who is the race leader. What a sensational victory that would be, but we're still 22 minutes away from that. We'll take a breath to have a look around, check the weather outside, which, would you believe, is just finally starting to clear in this race to round 6 of the 2021 GTOpen International Championship. Benyahites is the race leader in the 333 Ferrari. For Rinaldi Racing, the German-based team ahead of Andy Suchek, who is still clinging to a very slim hope of taking the championship. You look at the Kiwi Lamborghini. Brendan Leach, a star yesterday, but in the gravel here this afternoon. Suchek, Leo, Beretta 4, the championship leader, ahead of his teammate Baptiste Moulin. Then we go to Marco Bononomi, trying to get a second podium in 2 days. And then we go to Jan Seifert, Roman Simon, who has just taken over the number 73 car ahead of Florian Scholz and Martin Kodrich. Yesterday's race winner, in fact. They've had a quiet run this afternoon. They're down in position 10 for 2C's Motorsport.
Yeah, but they were kind of on course to lead before the success handicaps came in, because obviously they won yesterday's race and therefore they had a longer pit stop than anyone else. The gap between the top two has actually extended to 31 seconds since the safety car boards were waved. Benjamin Hites has gone 8 seconds faster than anyone else on this lap, which is slightly concerning, but I imagine it's just because he's in clear air. He's not having to, get stuck behind a GT4 car, which will naturally be going at a lower pace. However, that gap's going to come down to nothing once the safety car does pick him up, and the gap between Suchek and the 3 Lamborghinis behind is also going to come down to nothing. Of course, you have 2 full-time VSR entries. You now have a part-time one as well. If you're Vincenzo, I think you'd be on the radio right now saying, once safety car's in, can you all swap positions and aid the Schandorf car to attack the Porsche? Because they are obviously fighting for the title.
That's almost inevitable. That is inevitable. Federico Leo in position 3 in car 16. Michele Beretta, position 4, right behind. Expect them to change position when we do go green. We are still recovering the Brendan Leach Leipert Motorsport Lamborghini. Just a week after he put in a great stint at the Hockenheimring in the ADAC GT Series. Led the race in a Pro-M class car for Leipert Motorsport yesterday, but it's a DNF, unfortunately. Sharing the car with the American Tyler Cook. And for the first time, we've got the safety car out. We pick up the 53 car, which had a great run. Nicolas van Dierentong was leading the Cup class, but now it is Thomas Magdziats in car 33 leading the Cup class from Jan Lauritsen and Jakub Dwaniczki, looking at another podium. The poles in car 100 for Benelli Motorsport. Jakub Dwaniczki and Jan Antoszewski on your screen at the moment, going down through the Ascari chicane. Behind them is the 57 Honda of Luca Magnoni. This is Andy Suchek trying desperately to keep his championship hopes alive. It's mathematically still possible, but in reality, I had to be brutally honest, but it's just not going to happen. Benyahites is on board with the South American driver. It's really been quick, very impressive. The Chilean Benyahites, just 22 years of age, mainly racing in the Ferrari North America Challenge in the last couple of seasons, has come over to race with us in the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship and now leads.
And the way the safety car has caught these cars, the third place GT Cup Open Europe car, as you can see on the screen right now, the number 100, Jakub Janicki, he was around, I think, 10 seconds behind Jan Lauritsen, who had yet to be lapped. And therefore Jan Lauritsen is at the back of this queue, and he's in second place in this queue, so he's lost a whole lap to his class rival. So I don't think he's going to be very happy about that. Thomas Magdiars, who is leading GT Cup Open Europe, he has Michael Dinnan between himself and Jan Lauritsen. So he's had his advantage blown. I think that was close to half a minute. That's now down to 6 seconds. There's lots and lots going on. This safety car has completely jumbled things up slightly with the pit stop timing as well. And with 18 minutes to go, that's enough time for, once they're back up to racing speed, you've got a 2-minute 40 or 2-minute 20 lap potentially.
7?
Yeah.
7 laps.
Pending we don't have any more safety cars, because obviously we're going to have all 25 cars going off at the same time.
And depending when the safety car does come in, because we are still recovering, the Leipzig Motorsport Lamborghini, which you just saw to the left of the screen of Benyahites' 333 Ferrari. The Lamborghini, they do make quite a few four-wheel drive models. Needs an Ursus out here this afternoon. We've spoken about Lamborghini. Mr. Giorgio Sana was here at the circuit in the past couple of days as well. There is Jacopo Guidetti on the podium on debut in GTOpen International. So delighted with it, with that result. The young Italian, very likeable young Italian driver. Great to see him on the podium yesterday. It's looking unlikely. His teammate Marco Bononomi in position 6 at the moment, with some superstar drivers just ahead. Federico Leo, Giacomo Altue, the former GTOpen International champions. Federico from 2012, Giacomo from 2019. Andy Soucek, position 2, super experienced, the Austrian Spaniard in all sorts of categories, GT sports cars, Formula 2, GP2 as well. Not only in Europe, but GP2 Asia. 2 nationalities. Speaking of nationalities, one of 2 Chilean drivers in the field, Benyahites, he leads the race. The other is, of course, racing with us in Euro Formula Open, who have race 3 at the checkered flag of this GT race. Nicolas Pino racing with Team DriveX this weekend. Of course, the final rounds for both GTOpen International and the Euro Formula Open F3 Championship. That is at Barcelona in Spain on the 23rd and 24th of October. And we are expecting the gates to be thrown open to spectators. Don't hold me to that, that is provisional. We do have spectators here this afternoon. They are braving the rain. But it is great to see people back in the grandstands after, well, 7 billion people on the planet, and 7 billion people have got their own story of what's happened in the last year and a half. We are back racing in front of a crowd who are absolutely drenched here this weekend at Monza. Sunshine, we can expect that at Barcelona, and we hope to see you there for both the final rounds of GTOpen International and Euro Formula Open in 1 month from now.
Yeah, and we'll be going to both of those circuits again next year, so we've got a provisional 2022 calendar out where GTOpen and GT Cup Open Europe might be racing together again. They might be racing with split grids, as it did at the start of this year. Starts at Portimao in May, then it's on to Paul Ricard, Spa-Francorchamps, Hungaroring, classics, the GTOpen calendar they are. Then on to the Red Bull Ring in Austria, which is where, in similar conditions to this 2 weeks ago, we had the craziest of finishes to a motor race, and the safety car is coming in this lap. Then the season concludes at Monza on the same weekend as we are here this year, but next year, so an easy one to put in your diaries right now. And of course, Barcelona on October the 15th and the 16th at the very end of the 2022 season. And there'll be new cars potentially as well, or at least new cars homologated to race in this season.
Yes, and there is a really positive atmosphere after a nightmarish 18 months for everybody, we know that. But there is a really good feeling in the paddock as you look at Al Faisal Al Zubair watching on with his father. Great to see a smile on the Omani's face. He's looking at a podium here this afternoon, even if his faint and now impossible championship hopes have disappeared. Mark it in your calendar, 2022. Let's hope we just finish this year without a problem first. The penultimate round of GTOpen International here at Monza, the safety car to pull into the pits at the end of this lap. We're looking at a 5-6 lap sprint to the checkered flag. Benyahites looking at a victory. What an amazing result that would be. But look at the drivers behind him. Andy Soucek in the 77. Lechner Racing Porsche. Federico Leo. Michele Beretta. Expect those drivers from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing to swap position virtually as soon as the green flag flies, and then their teammate Baptiste Moulin behind, and the first Honda being driven by the former Le Mans LMP1 racer Marco Bononomi in position 6.
However, at the same time, if one of those VSR Lambos gets past Soucek on the restart, then they're probably going to be asked to maintain that position for as long as possible and make sure Soucek does not get those extra points by getting ahead and chasing down Benjamin Hites for victory. And it's pretty impressive that, you know, our first Chilean drivers in Euro Formula and GT Open, and now one of them's on course for victory today. But
potentially.
Of course, yeah, with 5 laps probably to go. We've got a 2-minute 40 lap, or at least a 3-minute first lap, so 4.5. And obviously if the clock counts down, you add an extra lap. The track looks, you know, the weather's improved. There's no rain now, but there's obviously still a lot of standing water. The visibility has improved, but with 26 cars together, it's going to be quite a mess with the spray as they come down to the pit straight.
The lights are out on the safety car. The Michelin wets will be put to the test as Benyahites accelerates to the line. He's already jumped the group. Andy Soucek with not 1, not 2, but 3 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghinis right behind him. The green flag flies and we race to the checkered flag. Andy Soucek under attack from the green V10 monsters. What a restart from Marco Bononomi. From position 6, has come scything down the outside. The Honda from P6 is now into 2nd place. Super restart from Bononomi. Andy Soucek is back in 3rd place. It's not been a great restart for the VSR Lamborghinis as the field impressively make their way. They snake their way down through the first chicane for the first time. Nick Moss back in the pack in car 72. In 13th place, you ride on board with yesterday's race winner in traffic, Martin Kodrich. Behind the wheel of the 2Cs, Motorsport Mercedes had to back out of the throttle twice in Curva Grande, down into the 2nd chicane. A Porsche just ahead. It is one of the 360 racing cars. It is Mauro Marcio who holds off yesterday's race winner again. Marcio now is going to be passed by Martin Kodrich, and we can see the battle just ahead.
That is, that is the Mercedes ahead getting past another lap's car, but he's losing ground actually to the drivers further ahead. Still side by side though, gets cut into the corner. So that is actually one of the, well, technically now a back marker in the GT Cup Open Europe.
Nicholas van Dierendonk behind the wheel of the 53 car, enjoying himself out on the circuit at the moment. A lot of people watching on live from the circuit at Zolder, where they're in the dying stages of the Zolder 24-hour race. And the Benelux team drivers, they're holding their own. Jan Lauritsen in 2nd place outright in the Cup class.
Bononomi has actually just dropped back down to 5th place, so Soucek's now up to 2nd. Michele Beretta in 3rd, Baptiste Moulin, but we can see the Porsche is right behind, so it could potentially be one of the 2nd Hondas or the 3rd.
It is, in fact, the 2nd Honda, car 57. As we try and make out the numbers in the spray.
Restart. No, it wasn't a brilliant restart.
Do we give Bononomi the credit anyhow to try and hide our error? Forgive us, the spray, it makes visibility very difficult for the drivers and also for us here in the commentary position as you look at Laurie Spinelli down the straight side by side with Jens Renault Moller. Sorry, it's Florian Schultz behind the wheel, of course, of the 47 Antonelli Motorsport car for the final position inside the top 10, riding on board with Benyahites, who already, after just a lap and a half, has pulled away 5 seconds from Soucek, Beretta, Moulin and Marco Bononomi in the Honda. Hites locks up, skates under brakes. Still in position 1, Martin Kodrich trying to scythe his way through the field. There is the pole, Roman Simon, the AM driver, who is about to be passed. Just accelerates the power of the Mercedes. He's on the outside. Will he make the place? On Roman Simon, has gone through, but he goes straight ahead. Yesterday's race winner won't make the podium here this afternoon. We've got less than 10 minutes remaining here this afternoon. Simon on the inside, but there's grip on the outside for the Croatian. Roman Simon for the Ferrari Challenge Trophy Racing with yesterday's race winner. And finally, Martin Kodrich goes by and he's in position 8. Andy Soucek with Michele Beretta right behind. They're running first and second in the championship, but they're running second and third on the road as they exit the Ascari chicane. Ben Yahites, no problem for the Chilean in the 333 Ferrari, which is really handling the conditions superbly, despite looking one of the more, well, let's just say, one of the more livelier cars out on the circuit.
And Jan Laurisson's just taken the GT Cup Open Europe lead from Thomas Magdalena, so that's technically for an overall win because we have 2 series racing together. He's down in 15th place overall. No other contenders are in that battle because the safety car put them a lap down. So it's these two fighting out for the remaining 8 minutes.
Now Marco Bononomi pulls himself into contention for another podium here this afternoon. He's now up into position 4, goes by the first Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini of Baptiste Moulin, which looks as though it will make it to the checkered flag after a disastrous race yesterday. A good opening stint for Yuki Namoto, who will be back to his home nation of Japan tomorrow. Yuki Namoto looking at 5th place at the moment. Marco Bononomi has gone by in the first Honda, now a step off a double podium here this weekend.
Yeah, and in the Pro-Am podium battle, Ollie Milroy's just jumped from 5th to 3rd, passing, so Florian Scholz was attacking Roman Zyman for 3rd place, but now both of them have been jumped by Milroy. Milroy's only 8/10 behind Jens Renault Moller, so he's now showing 2nd place. We may be able to see him at the very, very back of this train of cars. We're looking at the 2 Hondas now, so that is the one that's a lap down, as well as Marco Bononomi in 4th place, dropped 12 seconds to our leading car, Benjamin Hitas, who's pretty much on another planet. First stint, he was the only, well, that car was the only one able to run in the 2-minute 04s consistently. Now he's already dropped into the 2-minute 03s. But admittedly, you know, they haven't got any spray. They can see the track clearer than anyone else. In fact, you can see how dry the track is now compared to just 25 minutes ago. And car 17 has just been given a 3-second time penalty. That is Jan Seifert, who we saw in pit lane, had a collision with the AKM Motorsport Mercedes. That's an unsafe release from the team, so I imagine the team will get a fine for that as well. As we follow the 2 VSR Lambos currently in 5th and 6th place.
Down into the first chicane, and one of the Porsche Carrera Cup cars from Brazil, or the drivers from the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazilian Series going around, Fernando Fortes and Mauro Marcio. They've had an eventful weekend, but it's great to have them on the track. They're running down in 23rd and 24th positions. Ben Yahites has got a lead of 6.7 seconds over Michele Beretta, who, as expected, has gone by his teammates. Federico Leo has now dropped down to position 6. Fighting with Baptiste Moulin, Bononomi, P4 in the Honda, and then Beretta on your screen. The final step of the podium. He will lose a couple of points in the championship chase, but it may well be irrelevant. It may not be enough if Andy Soucek finishes P2. Ben Yahites is now 5 minutes away from what would be an incredible victory here at Monza this afternoon. The 3 Lamborghinis, as you look at the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Team garage, down in pit lane, their drivers in position 3 with Beretta, position 5 with Leo, and the Belgian Baptiste Moulin in position 6. 63 is Michele Beretta.
And Jan Seifert in 7th place is our leading Pro-Am class car. He's in another Lamborghini, so an identical spec car, but he's actually leading his class, so he's on course for victory. He'll be standing on the top step of the podium at this rate. Jens Renault Moller 7 seconds behind, and he is fighting volley. Milroy still. Milroy only quarter of a second behind as it came through the first sector of this lap. So we've got 4 minutes and 48 seconds to go. We've got really close battle in Pro-Am. We've got Benjamin Hitas leading in Pro by a long, long way. Only one Am class car, Luca Magnoni. He's a lap down. He's in 17th place. 4.5 seconds now between Jan Laurisson and Thomas Magdiaz in GT Cup Open Europe Pro-Am. And then in the GT Cup Open Europe Am class, there's 3.7 seconds between Geico Solieri and Fernando Forte. Now, their battle's kind of been ruined by the fact they were constantly having to let the GT3 cars past, and that's prevented them from staying close to each other. And Ollie Milroy has now passed Jens Renault Moller for 2nd place, so that's going to help Milroy's Pro-Am class title challenge.
So Jan Seifert, despite that 3-second penalty for an unsafe release, position 7 outright, which is where they did start on the grid, are still leading the Pro-Am class category. Ben Yahites, the gap will check it this time across the line. 7.4 seconds he is pulling away. as the flat six Porsche races down the straight. Around about 240 kilometres an hour last time through the speed trap. And Beretta right behind. Two of probably the most experienced drivers in the field. Andy Soucek, we spoke about his CV earlier in the race. There is confirmation of the 3-second penalty to Jan Seifert. And the Harold Prochik HP Racing International team in position 7. But also Michele Beretta, last year he won the European Le Mans Championship with 2 victories, including in the final round at Portimao in Portugal, where we race on the first day of May in 2022. The opening round of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship. Skates under brakes down into the second chicane. There is Marco Bononomi, the local boy in the background, looking at a potential double podium here this weekend. This is the reason why car 17 was given that 3-second penalty. Bodywork off the left rear of the Green Tiger Lamborghini. No harm done. The other driver involved in that, Florian Schultz, he's in position 4 in the Pro-Am class category and in 12th outright.
Benjamin Hites now has a 7.97 second lead over Andy Soucek. Still lapping in the 2-minute 03, so around 7 tenths faster. He had a 23-second lead before the safety car. So if we combine these two gaps, he is essentially half a minute faster than anyone else on track over this stint. So an incredible job by that Ferrari crew. It will be a win for the Tifosi. Not too many of the fans here are in Ferrari jackets. Most of them are in waterproof ones because it's raining. But there is quite a lot of fans here, so they're probably going to be very happy to see a Ferrari win.
They were lining up before 8 o'clock this morning. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't been the best, but it's great to see fans back in the stands here at the home of the Italian Grand Prix, the Temple of Speed. As you look at Benja Hites, the gap is now 8.6 seconds. The Rinaldi Racing team looking at a famous victory here in the penultimate round of the 2021 International GTOpen Championship. Axel Jeffries down in pit lane, watches on, does the Zimbabwean. As we take a magnificent close-up look of the race leader.
And they could be going for fastest lap. He's just broken into the 2-minute 2s, a 2-minute 2.8. Set his highest speed trap figure so far, 248.8 kilometers an hour. Is improving in the first sector. He'd have to improve by another second almost to get the fastest lap, because that was set at the very start of this race. Here is a replay of the Michael Dinham Ferrari, I think, being passed by the number 72, Nick Moss. It's not a pass, it's a spin for him, and he is down to, it's Roman Zeman, and he's down to 15th place, and he's got that beached in the gravel.
We just got a close-up of Axel Jeffries in the garage. We're in the dying stages of the race. In fact, this is the final lap. Axel Jeffries sharing the car with Roman Zeman. They're dropping down the order. They'll fall off the podium of the Pro-Am category class. But outright, it is Benja Hites who will win here this afternoon. He's driven superbly down through the Ascari chicane for the final time, sharing the car with Fabrizio Crestani, the German-based team driving the Italian supercar. Ferrari will win here at Monza. There is only one corner to go, named after the former Ferrari Grand Prix driver Michele Alboreto.
And it's where the other Ferrari is still parked. We believe there's yellow flags there, so he won't be able to go too fast. And there we see the second Ferrari parked out. He's going to come round the final corner now.
Third in the Ferrari Challenge Championship in North America in 2018. Second a year later. Position 1 here at the Temple of Speed. Benja Hites takes the victory, sharing the car with Fabrizio Crestani. The 333 Ferrari has won at Monza. Andy Soucek does beat home the championship leader, Michele Beretta. Marco Bononomi across the line now, 3rd yesterday and 4th here this afternoon. Just ahead of his teammate on the circuit, Federico Leo claims position 5 with Giacomo Altoer. This is Florian Schultz with Nick Moss right behind. Jan Seifert has claimed the victory provisionally for the moment in the Pro-Am class kart category, I should say. Florian Schultz goes wheel to wheel with Nick Moss for the final step of the Pro-Am category podium. Florian Schultz just takes it by 0.05 of a second. The 54 Porsche of Jan Lauritsen will win the Cup class category. The Belgian across the line, position 14 outright. after the Cup class category cars dominated the early stages of the race. Here is Nicholas van Dierendonk, the Benelux team, sharing the car with Dirk Schouten. Will finish on the final step of the Pro-Am category podium here this afternoon.
And he finished exactly a lap behind second place in class. Thomas Madjars, we've still got the GT Cup Open Europe AM class cars. We've now got Glauco Sorieri crosses the line. Fernando Forte 9.9 seconds behind. And Marcio Moro, who's had a very tricky race, a few spins here and there, and we'll see investigated the race start, will finish third. And here is a replay of one of those cars actually spinning off. That's the number 100.
Dwanitsky on the final lap.
Yeah, it did cost him third place, but he kept it going. He managed to get back on track and he crossed the line in 20th overall, but in 5th in class, which is a great shame.
In preparation for the final round of the World Rally Championship, which will take place here at Monza. And Jakub Dwanitsky comes across the line to take the checkered flag. Benyahites and Fabrizio Crestani take the victory for Rinaldi Racing. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek position 2 for Lechner Racing Porsche. And the first, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing car, the Lamborghini of the championship leader, and potentially already, we have to do some quick mathematics, but they may have just taken the GTOpen international title. Or just missed out. We'll let you know in just a few moments. Marco Bononomi, Guidetti P4 from Giacomo Altuer and Federico Leo. Gerhard Tuareza and Jan Seifert take position 6, and with that, the Pro-Am race victory here this afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to the second page. Jan Lauritsen won the GT Cup Open Europe race, 1 minute 1 second off the overall victory, so great performance there, and a 13-second win over Madjars. And then our final page, Glauco Sorieri, solo entry, won by around 10 seconds over Fernando Forte. Now here's the points. It will be impossible, I think.
Has he done it?
Yeah, so 28 points, but it will come down to drop score still, because they do have to drop their worst result. Schandorf and Beretta, I think, will drop 6 points, and I don't think the Soucek car will. So that's what it's going to come down to in Barcelona in a month's time.
They've got one hand on the trophy, but this afternoon it is all about the duo, the combination. On your screen, Fabrizio to the right congratulates his teammate. Benyahites, a famous victory. That was a brilliant drive in trying conditions here this afternoon. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Andy Soucek, position 2. Although we're concentrating on the championship to some degree, that was a great drive also by Andy Soucek to beat home the VSR Lamborghinis. Kisses the car, vamos! Benyahites takes the victory. And Michele Beretta and Frederic Schandorf, the final step of the podium here this afternoon.
Vamos, Julio, vamos, vamos!
Indeed for Benya, that's fantastic to see.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Benyahites, the South American, teams up with the former GTOpen international champion Fabrizio Crestani, and they have taken the Rinaldi Racing 333 car to victory. Ferrari win here at Monza. A brilliant drive. They take the checkered flag, 8.3 seconds ahead of Andy Soucek and Michele Beretta. The winners are down in pit lane. Will cross to Benyahites and Fabrizio Crestani in just a moment when we get the signal. Everyone drenched like rats here at Monza. The rain, would you believe it, has just eased up ever so slightly. It is a warm afternoon as autumn starts to descend here in the north of Italy. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, Andy Soucek.
Ehi, ciao, come stai? Questo è futuro.
And the winners of this afternoon of this very, very wet race, Benyahites and Fabrizio Crestani. Let's start with Fabrizio, because you started the race and it was not clear in terms of choice of tires, right?
Yeah, we went all out on slicks because on the lap to the grid, the track was dry, but then it was very close and we decided to pit for wet tires, which was the best choice. Then I was able to pull a gap and give some gap to Benja, but then the safety car came out, so all the pressure was on him, but he managed great, and yeah, and we win. I mean, it's great. I mean, this is the third year in a row winning here in Monza with 3 different cars: Mercedes, Bentley, now Ferrari, Italian car, Italian driver, Italian truck. I cannot be happier.
That's wonderful. Benja, you had to deal with a lot of water in the second part of the race. It went all well, and for your debut in the GTOpen, and for the first time of a Chilean driver in the GTOpen, you are on the top of the podium.
Well, it was a really good job of my teammate Fabrizio. He did a mega job to give me the car in the first place. I just finished the race, and yeah, it was difficult in the restart to manage a gap, but yeah, the Ferrari was amazing. And yeah, I'm very happy. I want to thank all my sponsors, Fiat, Caballo Loco, Metz, and Logitech, which without them it won't be possible. And yeah, now we bring some trophies home.
Yeah, I also want to thank Rinaldi for the great opportunity.
Of course, great show by Rinaldi on his return. Thank you guys, podium now.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
A spectacular yet somewhat complicated race here this afternoon. We raced green just as the heavens opened. Most of the field were already starting on the Michelin slick tyres. Some of the Cup Class category cars had elected to start bravely on the Michelin wets. As soon as we went green, the rain started to come down here, so it was a complicated matter to try and keep up with who was leading who. From the outset, it was clear that Fabrizio Crestani had fabulous speed in the 333 Ferrari. The rain got heavier, which caught out so many drivers, including the Brazilian Mauro Marzio. Crestani having a moment at the second chicane. That would be the biggest problem they would encounter all afternoon. When the pit stop window opened, everyone dived down into the pits. Joe Osborne going around, but did very nicely to recover the 72 McLaren. 2 pit stops for most teams, one to change over to wet tyres, and then the second for the compulsory driver change. That cost Jan Seifert 3 seconds, but would ultimately go on to still win the Pro-Am category class. 7th outright, the Kiwi Brendan Leach beached in the gravel after a great run on debut in GTOpen International yesterday. Yesterday's race winner, Martin Kodrich, in car 9, could only finish in position 8. Benyahites Vamos, the South American, took a famous victory with Fabrizio Crestani for Rinaldi Racing. Ferrari win here at Monza. Frederick and Michele make their way up to the podium, where they will stand on the 3rd step here this afternoon. Michele Beretta and Frederick Schandorf, P3. They were beaten by their closest championship rivals, Andy Suchek, Al Faisal Al-Zubair in position 2. Lamborghini 3rd, Porsche in 2nd place. But Ferrari, as we say, win at Monza with the Chilean Benyahites and Fabrizio Crestani.
E adesso siamo pronti per ascoltare l'inno nazionale. It's time for National Anthem.
The 3rd final podium of 2021 in GTOpen International. 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4. Ferrari leading home, Porsche, Lamborghini and Honda in position 4. A fabulous afternoon, the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. One left to race. We'll see you at Barcelona on the 23rd of 24th of October in Spain. Thanks for watching. See you in Spain.
Tanti protagonisti, intanto ottima la performance oggi del Rinaldi Racing Team, che è stato appunto il team premiato in questo primo podio. E dunque assisteremo al secondo podio